Girivadadhadi Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamunatiravana Chadi Jamunatiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi Madhava Kunjabiha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiha Madhava Kunjabihadi Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivijagacharya Astatara Satasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Continuing Canto 10, Chapter 27, right? 27. Just checking. Chapter 27. Text number 3 and 4. We've started this chapter last 2 days, verses 1 and 2. And the scene is Indra has been sent by Lord Brahma with Surabhi to go see Krishna and make amends for his big boo-boo. And we heard that Indra approached Krishna in a solitary place. Krishna conveniently, to save embarrassment of Indra, went to Govardhan Hill, by the base of Govardhan Hill, alone. Even Balaram wasn't there, coward boys weren't there, nobody was there, so that Indra could do his thing without embarrassment. And he placed his head and his crown at the feet of Krishna, and he hasn't spoken yet. So, starting with 3, and then we'll cover 3 and 4. Translation for 3. Indra had now heard of and seen the transcendental power of the omnipotent Krishna, and his false pride in being the Lord of the 3 worlds was thus defeated. Holding his hands together in supplication, he addressed the Lord as follows. BBT has no purport, but Vishwanath does, and so does Jiva Goswami, etc. First, with his own eyes, Indra saw the powers of Krishna. Later, having understood his offense, in order to find a means of alleviating his offense, he went to Mount Meru, where he heard from Brahma about Krishna's power. Question for our learned devotees. Mount Meru? Lord Brahma's abode is Brahmaloka. So why did he go to meet Brahma at Mount Meru? So here's a cosmology detail. Fifth canto Bhagavatam describes the structure of the universe. Brahmaloka is at the top, and then our middle planetary region called Bhumandala is in the middle, and below Bhumandala is the seven hellish planets, and below the seven lower planets, and below the seven lower planets are the so many hellish planets. So planetary systems are 14 in number, and Bhumandala is number 8, or the bottom of the upper 7. You got the picture? 7 above, 7 below. Bhumandala is the bottom of the 7 above. And the description of Bhumandala is very fascinating. It's a series of islands surrounded by rings of oceans, surrounded by a ring of islands, surrounded by a ring of ocean, and 7 of those, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's many other things that are described. When we saw the video of Vedic Planetarium, TOVP, the Antardweep took us through a video animation of what the Temple of Vedic Planetarium is going to display. It's going to display fifth canto, the structure of the universe. So, of the 7 islands, the middle one is, what's the name of the middle one? Antardweep, right? Jambudweep. And Jambudweep has, in the middle of Jambudweep, has a golden mountain called Sumeru. And then, it doesn't say this in the video, but some small portion of Sumeru is below Bhumandala, and the vast portion is above Bhumandala, and it's like an inverted cone. That is, cones are normally narrow at the bottom and widened at the top. This is a cone that's wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. No one's seen a mountain like that. That's Mount Meru. And on the top of Mount Meru is flat. And on the top of Mount Meru is Brahma's summer home. It doesn't say summer home, but it's an additional residence of Brahma. He has a place way up there, and he has a place down here. At the top of Sumeru, his abode in this Bhumandala region is at the top of Sumeru, or Meru, and there's the other Digpals, 8 in number, protectors of the directions. That's what Digpals are. So, you know, 8. There's actually 10, but it's a flat. So north, south, east, west, and then the other northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. 8. The residents of the Digpals, the protectors of the direction. Then there's zenith and nadir, above and below, but that's not a two-dimensional plane. So the purport is saying, what did Indra do after he made his boo-boo? He went to Mount Meru, checked in with Brahma, and Brahma told him what to do. Then he went to the heavenly realm, where this realm of prototype Goloka, prototype Surabhi, and Brahma went there with Indra. Indra was sent with Surabhi going front and Indra going behind. So they came in for a landing. in Vrindavan, and he's going to speak next. Okay, so now Jiva Goswami's purport. Indra had now heard of and seen the power of the omnipotent Krishna, and his false pride in being the Lord of the three worlds was thus defeated, because that was an objective of Krishna's, to remove his pride. Holding his hands together in supplication, he addressed the Lord as follows. That's the next verse. Indra experienced Krishna, who had unlimited powers, by seeing the supreme Brahman in human form as Krishna, the cowherd boy, when he lifted Govardhan. And he heard about him from Brahma. Though he had a brilliant crown in front of Krishna, whose toe tips shone with greater brilliance than 1,000,000 suns, he was like a firefly in the daylight. Immediately, he lost his pride in being the master of the three worlds. Because of Krishna's unlimited power, Indra gave up his pride in ruling the three worlds. And one more purport, Sanatana Goswami writes, Indra experienced Krishna, who had unlimited powers. Now, before, apparently, the Krishna of Braja, he had never encountered before. Now, there's other pastimes that our very interesting audience will ask, was this before or after the Parijata flower incident? And, our really smart people will ask those questions. I don't know the answer. It seems like it's before, because Krishna went with Satyabhama, and that's much later in his pastimes. I'm just anticipating our tricky questions from the audience. Okay, so Indra experienced Krishna, who had unlimited powers, by seeing the Supreme Brahman in human form as Krishna, the young cowherd, when he lifted Govardhan, and he heard about him from Brahma. Though he had a brilliant crown in front of Krishna, whose toe tips shone with greater brilliance than 1,000,000 suns, same as Jiva Goswami, or Jiva Goswami is because Sanatana was elder. He was like a firefly in the daylight. Immediately he lost his pride. Because of Krishna's unlimited power, Indra gave up his pride in ruling the three worlds. He, Indra, had directly experienced Krishna's powers, drishta, by Krishna lifting Govardhan, and now by his coming to Braja. He had heard of his powers. Thus, with folded hands, he spoke according to these experiences. Thus, his praise would be excellent. So if you're ready for some excellent praise, here's the next text, number 4. Indra said, your transcendental form of manifestation of pure goodness is undisturbed by change, shining with knowledge, and devoid of passion and ignorance. So that's sat and chit. And devoid of passion and ignorance, beyond the modes, transcendental. In you does not exist the mighty flow of the modes of material nature, which is based on illusion and ignorance. Purport from the BBT. The great Bhagavatam commentator Srila Sridhar Swami has masterfully explained the Sanskrit elements of this profound verse. So you can imagine the commentary is substantial. Concerning the first set of meanings, the Vedanta Sutra states that the Absolute Truth is the source and resting place of all existence. And in the first verse of the Bhagavatam, the Absolute Truth is said to be Krishna. Although Lord Krishna exists in his own dham or abode called Krishnaloka, he himself is the abode of all existence. as Arjuna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, where he addresses Krishna as Param Dhamma, the supreme abode. So that's a nice, important, for those of you that like to teach Bhagavad Gita. There's at least one person in the room, and I'm sure some people online, that when you read Arjuna's statements, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Param Dhamma, what does it mean? So here's Sridhar Swami explaining. It means Krishna is the abode of all existence. Paragraph. The very name, Krishna, indicates the all-attractive person, and thus Lord Krishna, the source of all beauty and pleasure, is certainly, quote, the favorite thing or person, delight and pleasure. That's meanings. Ultimately, these terms can refer only to Krishna. Paragraph. Dhamma can also refer to form or appearance. And as Indra offered these prayers, he was in fact directly seeing the form of Krishna before him. Paragraph. As clearly explained in the Vedic literature, Lord Krishna's power, strength, majesty, splendor, and effulgence are all contained within his transcendental body, and thus attest to the infinite glories of the Lord. Next paragraph. Srila Sridhar Swami has brilliantly summarized all these meanings of the word Dhamma by giving the Sanskrit term Sarup as a synonym. What does Swarup mean? It means form. So Dhamma, Param Dhamma can also mean his supreme form. The word Swarupa means, quote, one's own form or shape, and also, quote, one's own condition, character, or nature, unquote. Since Lord Krishna, being pure spirit, is non-different from his body, there's absolutely no difference between the Lord and his visible form. By contrast, in this mature world, we conditioned souls are distinctly different from our bodies, whether those bodies be male, female, black, white, or whatever. All of us are eternal souls, different from our temporary, flimsy bodies. Sounds like Sri Dayananda Maharaj's kind of language, flimsy bodies. Paragraph. When the word Svarupa is applied to us, it especially indicates our spiritual form, because our own form is in fact our own conditioned character or nature eternally. Thus, the liberated condition in which one's outward form is one's deepest spiritual nature is called Svarupa. Primarily, however, this term refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This is all indicated in this verse by the word Tava Dhamma, as explained by Sridhar Swami. This is all BBT purport. We haven't even gotten to the other ones yet. Paragraph. Sridhar Swami has explained here that the word Shantam means, quote, always in the same form. Shantam can also mean undisturbed, free from passion, or purified, unquote. According to Vedic philosophy, all change in this world is caused by the influence of passion and ignorance. The passionate mode is creative and the ignorant mode is destructive, whereas the mode of goodness, sattva, is serene and sustaining. In many ways, this verse emphasizes that Lord Krishna is free from the modes of nature. The words in this verse, Vishuddha Sattvam, or Shantam, or Dvasta, Rajas, Tamas, Kam. They're all meaning the same thing. And Guna, Sampavaho, Na, Vidyate. All indicate this. Like four terms to say, make it super underscored. Krishna is not influenced by the modes of nature. Unlike Krishna, we change from one body to another because of our involvement with the modes of nature. The various transformation of material forms are impelled by the modes of nature, which are themselves set in motion by the influence of time. Therefore, one who is free from the material modes of nature is changeless and eternally satisfied in blissful spiritual existence. Thus, the word Shantam indicates that the Lord is undisturbed by change since he is free from the material modes of nature. We're not done yet. Paragraph. According to this verse, the powerful flow of the material modes of nature, namely passion, stupidity, that's Rida Nandamaraj's thumbprint there, and mundane piety, same, the three modes, are based on agrahana, which Srila Sridhar Swami has translated as ignorance. Since the Sanskrit root grah, G-R-A-H, that's the dhatu, Sanskrit root, means to take, accept, grasp, or comprehend. Grahana means grasp, exactly in the sense of to grasp an idea or fact. Therefore, grahana here means one's failure to understand one's spiritual position, and this failure causes one to fall into the violent currents of material existence. Paragraph. An additional meaning of the word agrahana is derived when it is divided into the compound agra hana. Agra means the first, top or best, and hana means killing. The best part of our existence is the pure soul, which is eternal in contradistinction to the temporary material body and mind. Thus, one who chooses material existence over Krishna consciousness is in fact killing the best part of himself, the soul, which in its pure state can enjoy Krishna consciousness unlimitedly. Next paragraph. Srila Sridhar Swami has translated tapo mayam as, quote, full of knowledge. The word tapas generally indicates austerity, is derived from the Sanskrit verb tap. That's the dhatu, the verbal root, tap, whose meaning can be summarized as indicating the various functions of the sun. Tap means, quote, to burn, to shine, to heat, and so on. The Supreme Lord is eternally perfect, and therefore here, tapo mayam does not indicate that his transcendental body is meant for austerities, since austerities are performed by conditioned souls to purify themselves or acquire a particular power. An omnipotent, perfect being neither purifies himself nor acquires power. He's eternally pure and all-powerful. Therefore, Sridhar Swami has intelligently understood that in this case the word tapas refers to the illuminating function of the sun, and thus indicates that the Lord's self-effulgent body is omniscient. Light is a common symbol of knowledge. It's true. The Lord's spiritual effulgence does not merely illuminate physically, as in the case of a candle or light bulb. More importantly, the Lord's body illuminates our consciousness with perfect knowledge because the Lord's effulgence is itself perfect knowledge. Final paragraph, one sentence. We offer our respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Sridhar Swami and thank him for his enlightening comments on this verse. Now, Vishwanath is much shorter. Krishna might have said to Indra, "You know that I was so foolish to stop your worship, and on the pretext of worship Govardhan, enjoy the offerings meant for you." Fearing such words from Krishna, Indra spoke, "O Lord, although I am bewildered by your Maya, I now know a little about you by a speck of your mercy." This is the intention of this and the next verse. Quote, "Your form, Dhamma, is peaceful, not fierce, Shanta. It is pure knowledge, Tapomayam. Does it arise from Sattva Guna? No, it is Vishuddha Sattva, spiritual, Chit Anandamaya. Chit and Ananda. Remember that question somebody asked? It was Kirti asked about this section of the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. There's a little paragraph that speaks of planets that are Chit Ananda, or Chit Maya and Anandamaya. Remember that question? Nobody remembers that question. There's a paragraph that speaks like that. So he sent it in, and I didn't understand what he was talking about. So I read, he sent the paragraph, I read the paragraph, researched it a bit. And it refers to the spiritual planets. The spiritual planets they can be described as full of knowledge or full of bliss. Chit Maya or Yananda Maya. That's spiritual planets. So it's not like there's this planet, the Chit Maya planet, and there's the Yananda Maya. It's just describing aspects or features of the spiritual realm or the spiritual planets. They're full of knowledge and full of bliss, as is the Lord, is his planet similarly. So, Chit Ananda, here it is combined, Chit Ananda Maya. Your form, let's go back. Your form is peaceful, not fierce, Shanta. It is pure knowledge, Tapomayam. Does it arise? That's his form. From Sattva Guna? No, it is Vishuddha Sattva, spiritual Chit Anandamaya. Therefore, it is impossible for you to have any rajas or tamas, tamagun. Rather, by your influence, you destroy the material gunas within others. By remembering your form, people can destroy raja and tamagun. You are not influenced by the gunas as we are, though you are not influenced by maya like the jivas. Sometimes, for amusement, you accept a role in this world that is not that a fault also? No, because you have no desire to accept any relation with the material realm. Jiva Goswami. Understanding that the Lord was not angry at his offense by seeing his naturally happy face, And being relieved, he began to praise Krishna. First, he speaks in order to get forgiveness for his offense, namely, you should be not angry with me since I was bewildered by your Maya and stuck in the material world as a continual offender. Vishuddha Sattva is a function of Chit Shakti and is related to material Sattva as the cause, as its cause. So now, terminology. Chit Shakti is a term that's used in different ways in different places. In this case, it's meaning his spiritual potency in general. So there's Maya Shakti and there's Chit Shakti. And Maya Shakti has modes of nature. Chit Shakti has no modes of nature. And Vishuddha Sattva is a function of that Chit Shakti, and it is related to the material Sattva. That is, it's the Chit Shakti has a reflection, just like Rama Devi. Rama Devi. Rama Devi. That's the internal potency of Mahavishnu. So Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, Radha Krishna, Rama Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Rama Devi is his internal potency. And Rama Devi has her shadow potency. The Chit Shakti has a shadow. And that shadow is Chaya Devi or Pradhan, that becomes transformed into, Mahatattva, and then the whole material creation flows from that. So there's the spiritual potency, Chit Shakti, and there's the reflection of the spiritual potency. So as the Chit potency is free from the modes of nature, the reflection has modes of nature, one of them being mode of goodness. But mode of goodness isn't pure goodness. The mode of goodness is a reflection of pure goodness, influenced by the other modes. That's what's being said. And so Jiva Goswami quotes Brahma Samhita. Maya hiyasya jagadanda shatanusute trigunya tadvishaya veda vitaya mana sattvaavalambi parasattvam vishuddha sattvam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, whose material energy Maya, consisting of the three gunas, described elaborately in the Vedas, produces hundreds of universes, while he himself is pure sattva, Vishuddha sattva, which is the cause of the material sattva, which manifests his blissful form, Vishuddha sattva. He continues, paragraph, you have a form of Vishuddha sattva, or you have a Vishuddha sattva form, which is self-manifesting, since Vishuddha means without material parts, and sattva means manifestation. You are without agitation, shantam. Your form is also full of knowledge, tapomayam. And then he quotes Vishnu Purana again, twice. Here, the first reference is the word Bhagavan means he is complete with power of mind, power of senses, power of body, influence, control, and beauty, and is devoid of all inferior qualities. And then in another section of Vishnu Purana, next one is Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad. Deep knowledge is the cause of peace, shantam. Your form is devoid of rajas and tamas, devoid of the vikshepa and avarana. Shruti says the Lord is devoid of all sin. Chandogya Upanishad. Material sattva is excluded. So in the material world, there's goodness and bad, in material goodness and material badness. You know, there's sattva and tama. And in the spiritual realm, there's neither. Devoid of vikshepa and avarana. The Lord is devoid of sin. And then in another Vishnu Purana, two more Vishnu Purana quotes. In Vishnu, there are no material gunas. And then there's another right after that. In you, who are the shelter of all spiritual qualities, exists the energies of Hladani, Sandani, and Samvit. That's, Satchidananda. In you, who are devoid of material qualities, the mixture of happiness and distress found in the material world does not exist. Paragraph. The flow of your qualities, like mercy, realized directly by me, is not made of material maya, since the qualities are accepted by you. The qualities are accepted by you, spiritual qualities, and are without limitation of material senses. We're just going to read one more and we're going to wrap up. This is Sanatan Goswami commenting on this verse, kind of medium range or length commentary. Understanding that the Lord was not angry at his offense by seeing his naturally happy face and being relieved, he began to praise Krishna. First he speaks in order to get forgiveness for his offense. You should not be angry with me, since I was bewildered by your maya and stuck in the material world as a continual offender. So Jiva Goswami is speaking something very similar to Sanatana Goswami. No problem. Paragraph. Though the Lord's form is beyond the gunas and full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, it is called Vishuddha Sattva. This means that it has some similarity to Sattva Guna in being devoid of greed, anger, and other bad qualities, though the Devatas are in Sattva because they and Indra have the possibility of greed and other bad qualities. The nature of the Devatas is not described by the term Vishuddha Sattva. Vishuddha Sattva means the eternal form of bliss arising from the Chit Shakti. O Lord, free of all faults or touched by the gunas, so here's emphasis. Your form is pure existence, pure Brahman. It is to be attained only by intense concentration of the mind. This form destroys rajas and tamas in your servants, and because of this, sattvam, your servants have no rajas and tamas. The form which is directly realized with a series of qualities like compassion, etc. So realization of his form brings good qualities like compassion, etc. Is not made of maya, since the form exists by your acceptance. You are beyond the gunas because your form and qualities are self-manifesting, accomplished by you alone. Since your servants are free of rajas and tamas, they are beyond samsara, since only by the lack of knowledge of you do they become bound up. Last paragraph. Dhamma can refer to the Lord's abode or village. That place is beyond the gunas, made of maya, since it is like you. What can I do there? What I have done is a great sin. Your abode is a pure living being, Vishuddha endowed with peace, endowed with austerity. Therefore, there are no material gunas there. I am the opposite type of being. In my heart, I had gunas, and thus I had no knowledge of you, and thus I developed great offense. And there's some other references which I'm not going to, they're really nice. I'm going to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita reference, if you don't mind, and then we'll skip the other ones. Here's a verse, Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 62. The confidential reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the section. Adi 4:62. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is beyond the three qualities, goodness, passion, ignorance. No material qualities exist in him. May that original person, Narayana, who is situated in a completely transcendental position, be pleased with us. And then he makes reference. This is the commentary, purport, makes reference to this verse spoken by Indra. And then, when not manifested, the modes of material nature are said to be in goodness. When they are externally manifested and active in producing varieties of material existence, they are said to be in passion. And when there's a lack of activity and variegatedness, they are said to be in ignorance. In other words, the pensive mode is goodness, activity is passion, and inactivity is ignorance. Above these three mundane qualitative manifestations is Vishuddha. And then finally, when Vishuddha is predominated by the Sandhini potency, that's like Sat, the eternality aspect of transcendence. So when Vishuddha Sattva is predominated by Sandhini potency, it is perceived as the existence of all that be, Sat. When predominated by Samvit, that's Chit, cognition, it is perceived as knowledge in transcendence. That sounds nice. And when it is predominated by Hladini potency, it is perceived as the most confidential love of Godhead, Vishuddha Sattva. The simultaneous manifestation of these three in one is the main feature of the kingdom of God. So there's further commentary references, but we'll stop there. In contrast to the atheistic interpretations of Vedanta Sutra, so Vedanta Sutra is a summary of all the Vedas, written by Vyasa, and it's like the standard that all theologies, all Vedic theologies accept. But there's different interpretations of Vedanta Sutra, and some of those interpretations are atheistic. Like, the one that we're a little bit familiar with is Karma Mimamsa, because Krishna spoke it. Right? Krishna spoke. When he was convincing Nanda Maharaj to not offer the sacrifice to Indra, he spoke Karma Mimamsa philosophy. He said, you don't have to worship anybody, because karma is way up there. And if there's somebody, they're obliged by karma that's way up there. So just, do good karma, and then good things will come, because you don't have to worship Indra or anybody. Just do good karma. It's an atheistic philosophy. So, that's an interpretation of Vedanta Sutra. And there's others that have a specific brand and nomenclature and stuff. And then the way that Vyasadev's explanation of Vedanta Sutra is characterized, like there's the Karma Mimamsa philosophy, so his is Shakti Parinamavad. That's the name. Shakti, we know the meaning. Parinama means transformation. And Vada means doctrine, the doctrine of transformation of potencies. So that's his doctrine. That's what's being said here. That is, there's this eternity, knowledge, and bliss potency, or the Lord's Chit potency, or his Vishuddha Sattva potency, that these are subsets of. And that spiritual potency becomes transformed in various ways to make the material manifestations. The material manifestations are resting upon and derived from spiritual potency. And then there's the potent and this potency in the transformation of potencies. Influenced by time, we get the material ones. And by diluting potency, we don't recognize the spiritual potency. We're like, you don't have the password to get that information because of being covered by ignorance. So the root cause of our suffering is ignorance. And hearing of transcendental knowledge breaks through the ignorance barrier. At least the potential is there. Just like our chanting, keeping it really simple. The song by Narottam Das Thakur, Golokera Prema Dana Hari Nama Sankirtana. This Hari Nama Sankirtan has descended from Goloka to connect us with Goloka. So just hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and you'll connect with Goloka, which you won't have any access to if you're covered in ignorance. But supposing I'm covered in ignorance, how am I going to connect with? It's merciful. And just hang on to that rope. And you'll get pulled out through, just hold on. You don't even have to climb the rope, you just hang on with faith. And you're lifted out. That's Lord Chaitanya's plan for this age of Kali. Just pull people out of ignorance through the chanting, the sound vibration of the holy name. And then the Bhagavatam explanation of how, wait a minute, how's all this working? Well, you don't need to know how it's working, just hold on. But if you want to know, here's how it's working. And it's helpful to know how's it working because, it helps nourish our faith. So we hold on instead of, being distracted. So this is just the first of his prayers. And the first of his prayers we heard, he's just glorifying Krishna, his position. And this very elaborate definition of Sridhar Swami is giving word by phrase by phrase an explanation of how it is glorifying Krishna. So we hear these things so many times, it's like, enough already, come on. So, but we need to hear it again and again because we don't really get it. So we hear it again and again. Hear it again and again. Hear it again and again. Like, it's not like brainwashing in the material sense, it's purifying in the spiritual sense. We have to hear it again and again. And it's expressed in various ways by various personalities. And here Indra speaking, as we heard, very, not just eloquently, but full of meaning. Because it says why? Because he's been excused from his offense. He's actually an elevated person. He's just, gets carried away sometimes with his, self-importance. Becomes proud. and then does bad stuff because of pride. But Krishna has forgiven him, so his words are very powerful, worthy of being heard and repeated, although he just did this bad thing. There's other places where he does other bad things. And somehow he keeps getting forgiven and then picked up because he's a great soul. Okay. So I'm looking at the clock and it's 8:23, and let's see if there's some discussion. It's a little high philosophy, but that's okay. There's a nice story connected with it.
Guru Maharaj, I have 3 questions. 2 are basic questions. Indra committed an offense, and after that, when he comes to see Krishna, I'm thinking about myself, putting me in the place of Indra. When I do something, even a small mistake, and coming in front of you, I will not be able to speak, properly, frame a sentence. How is he able to speak such prayers?
Super soul and personality. Some people are talkative and some people are quiet and shy. We have different natures.
The next question is, does Indra know the meaning of what he is speaking? Like Sridhara Swami is quoting such wonderful meanings. Does Indra know all these and he is speaking? It's hard to believe.
Well, he's an elevated soul. So, whether whether it's 100%, 80%, 50%, 30%, does it really matter how realized he is and what he's saying? Does he really understand? He's a learned person. He's an elevated person. He's speaking inspired by Super Soul to speak, and he's right. So what his realization is, hook him up to a realization meter and find out. I don't know.
So as devotees, we also try to memorize certain prayers and then speak in front
It's
of Krishna,
Bhagavatam.
but we don't know.
It's okay. It's Bhagavatam. It's purifying for us and whoever hears.
Last question is, so much is spoken about Krishna's form.
Yes.
And you had mentioned that realization of the form gives us good qualities. Is it realization means keep on hearing?
Well, one may keep on hearing and continue to make offense and not get purified. So it's the hearing is essential, yes, and becoming free from offense is also essential in the hearing process. Hearing helps us become free from offense, or the conditions that arise from offense. Anarthas arise from offense. Continued to hearing helps eradicate or helps diminish and eventually eradicate the consequences of offense. The idea is then try to avoid making more offenses. Okay.
Online question.
Yes, please.
Question from Sri Radhika Mataji. In the beginning of the class, the commentary you read repeatedly said that India lost his pride. Indra. Yeah, okay. Indra lost his pride. I think it was a typo. We know from further pastimes that it wasn't lost for good. I understand that in Anartha Nivritti stage, it is natural to not be able to retain lessons learned forever. But is there anything I can do to make them last longer?
Just purity. Until purity is reached, there's every chance that some tendency will reappear. Please read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 11. It takes Krishna's intervention to take away tendency. So, not just wait for purity, but wait for, strive and depend on Krishna's mercy to take tendency even away.
Next question from Shiradika Mataji. Goloka Vrindavan is Vishuddha Sattva.
Yes.
Since so many demons exert their influence over Gokul Vrindavan during Lord Krishna's pastimes, can we understand that it is affected by the modes? Or is all this happening purely within the internal potency?
Well, were they just imitation demons or were they really demons? Is kind of like what she's asking. They weren't really, that one picture is they're just Vishuddha Sattva persons on stage acting as if they're demons, and really they're not demons, they're just Vishuddha Sattva personalities. Or are they really demons? And Krishna's killing demons. It's not the first one. They're really demons. And Krishna's really killing them and liberating them, bringing them to the position of Vishuddha Sattva. So how is it possible? Well, it's because it's the mature world and Krishna is wanting to demonstrate different things. Again, this is this Naimittika Leela for the purpose of edifying and purifying conditioned souls, and thus worldly pastimes. Okay.
From
You have a question about that? No, separate question. Let's do the online. Just do the online ones.
From Gopinath, how is Mount Meru considered a mountain if it is upside down?
Why not? Krishna can make upside down mountains if he wants. And it's really tall. It's narrow. The base is narrow, and it's 100,000 yojanas tall. And then each yojana is 8 miles. There's no such mountain that we have seen. So what is it then if it's not a mountain we've seen? It's the universal form, which is there's different ways of describing what it is, but it's really a form that this material world has created in the likeness of, or not exactly likeness of, but it's a model from which this universe is created. I think let's use it that way. There's one devotee that explains Vedic cosmology in this way. It's a conceptual mountain, but not conceptual in the sense like imaginary, because we just heard, Indra went to Brahma at the top of Mount Meru, or to Mount Meru, not an imaginary place, but higher beings. This is what Sadhaputta says. Persons with higher consciousness can experience the universal form. We're not in persons of higher consciousness, so we can't experience it. But persons of higher consciousness can experience it, so it exists, but we can't experience it with our senses or our mind because we're too covered. But higher consciousness people can, like Indra, can go to Mount Meru and find Brahma and so forth.
Question from Gaur Sundar Prabhu. After Govardhan pastime, Indra appears to do mistake again
Of
when he
course.
fights with Krishna while getting the Parijata tree from heavenly planet to
Yeah,
satisfy
yeah.
Satyabhama. Doesn't Indra realize supremacy of Krishna from Govardhan pastime? Why does Indra offend
He
the
gets
Lord
covered
again?
again. The residual tendencies topic. We covered this. He has residual tendencies and he gets covered. How about you, Gaurasundar? You have residual tendencies and you learn lessons and time passes and you forget those lessons and you do the residual tendency thing again. So Indra has got some of those.
One more question from Gaur Sundar Prabhu. Vishuddha Sattva potency in relation to Sambit, Sandhini and Haladini potencies, do the 5 primary rasas and 7 secondary rasas churn out from above relationship of Vishuddha Sattva potency?
Yes. This is high technology questions.
Question from Acharya Nishta Prabhu. Maharaj, how can so-called Christians
So-called
Christians be so bold to blaspheme or criticize the Lord? As theists, they should have more faith in God, yet they often react even more anti, um, antagonistically.
Antithetically.
Yes.
Antithetically.
Than atheists who have no faith at all.
Well, they're territorial. They, like my territory is, my God is this, and your God is that. Woof, woof, woof. Territorial. And so atheists don't have any territory to protect. There's no God. Just like out of all the different ideas of God, yours is one of them, and I don't pay any attention to it. No, so there's atheists that do bark too, but someone's invested in their territory and they defend their territory. Like one nation, South China Sea. As soon as it's somebody's territory, then woof woof. That's what happens.
Question from Satish Bhatnagar. Hare Krishna Maharaj. How can we be patient, tolerant with close friends, family who do not believe in Krishna conscious philosophy?
How can we?
Yes, how can we be patient?
I'm just repeating, I'm meditating on the question. How can we? Well, one way that we can is on the instruction of Krishna to be tolerant. Well, it's hard to tolerate. Well, tolerate anyways. Because that's Krishna's instruction. You tolerate. And, higher than that is go to the spiritual conception. And while they're saying and doing stuff, recognize here's a spirit soul that's covered by the modes of nature, and they're behaving the way that the modes of nature indicate. But beyond, on the other side of those modes of nature, I see a spirit soul. There's a teenage daughter of one devotee family that sent me yesterday an assignment that they have from their religion class, and the religion class is studying 3 different religions. So they have a project for school, and they chose some passages from the book of Matthew from the Bible, where God is speaking about how to deal with people when they say insulting things and do cruel things and hurtful things, and so he recommends the high road. So this teenager wanted to know what's the Vedic perspective, but how can she answer this assignment, or can I give some guidance to her how to take the assignment? Explain the significance of what Christ's instructions are in this section. So the answer I gave was similar to what the answer I just now gave. That is, his instruction, the high road instruction, is you have to see with a spiritual conception. He doesn't say that. But to do what he's saying, you have to have a spiritual conception, because otherwise it's going to roll off your back, water off a duck's back. It's not going to go in. You can say, yeah, that's a nice instruction. You won't be able to live it unless you have a spiritual conception. So when people, relatives or whoever, somebody out there that you have interaction with, and they say and do harsh things, see beyond the harshness and see the spirit soul within, and relate to the spirit soul within. You may have some behavior towards the harsh speech or harsh conduct. That's okay, but see the spirit soul within, and then you don't have to be this reactive person. And this is very similar to the topic. The devotee asking this question can listen to the Dhruva Maharaj react and respond section, react versus respond section. We covered it like extensively. Go ahead.
Question from Amara Mataji. Just like pride is a big obstacle on the path of devotional service, similarly, are the obstacles on devotional service are indicatives of pride or anarthas?
It's certainly indicative of some contamination of heart, which you can put in the category of anarthas, for sure. Yeah.
Question from Gopinath. What is the meaning of Indra?
Indra means Lord. We'll hear this coming up, where Surabhi says, "You are our Indra, or Lord, and I want to call you Govinda." So, but that you are our Indra. She came with Indra and saying, "That fellow over there, no, you are our Indra."
From Sri Radhika Mataji. When you say just hold on to the rope and we are pulled up, it sounds very easy. But there is so much effort required to chant.
Yeah, of course. Because we don't want to hold on. We want to hold on to other stuff. There is effort required, for sure.
I understand that the ultimate factor is Krishna's mercy, but there is huge effort required to even become eligible for that mercy.
Yes.
Can you please explain how this analogy of just hold on to the rope applies?
Well, I've already answered. Just hold on to it. It's like just chant Hare Krishna and everything gets nice. So you just chant Hare Krishna, and then you don't become complacent. You have to be consciously interactive with the purification process. The do's and the don'ts, and without offenses, and so many conditions. But the rope is the Hare Krishna mantra. Just chant Hare Krishna, and everything else is everything is there within the chanting of Hare Krishna. It's not like I can, I just do that, and that means I can do any darn thing, and that's okay because I'm chanting Hare Krishna. So there's conditions and qualifications, and that's part of the effort to purify your existence. But those are details that are a subset of the primary instruction. Just hold on to the rope. That the rope is mercy, and there's effort required to hold on to the rope in different details, like she's saying. And it's not just one thing. Effort is not just one thing. Just chant, or just hold on to the rope. There's multiple things, but it comes from that one thing.
Struggle in chanting. My struggle is like, if I don't focus, my chanting bed is like I see that very slippery. So in middle of chanting, it slips from my hand. So
The beads.
the beads. So then I have to focus first, my hands with that. Then sometimes I see that it takes a lot of time to finish. I was chanting some extra rounds. Nowadays I have reduced my rounds and doing my prescribed rounds. So that also I have to put a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time.
Good.
So sometimes I have a struggle in pronunciation of mantra also. So
Mm.
even a one count. So I feel like lot of energy and effort. Sometimes it frustrates me. So why so am I doing so much anartha that blocks me?
Not just this lifetime. How long have we been in the material world? Burijan's way of saying, the first effort, the first effect of the chanting of the holy name is it cleanses the dust from the mirror of the mind. But supposing it's 3 miles thick dust, how long is it going to take? So, and how am I going to continue for 3 miles thick dust? They would just throw in the towel and just live with 3 miles thick dust and just shrug my shoulders and say, that's it. It may take a while. And yes, it takes effort, but that's the price I have to pay for my past misdeeds. I'm prepared. This Brahma's verse, Tate Nukampam. I'm prepared to accept the reaction, the responsibility for my past misdeeds. But let my mind not budge an inch from shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's, however. So, but my beat slip and my concentration and my this and that, and it's just the mind. It's contaminated mind. Whining and complaining. Like your kids may do sometimes, So, but you love your kids, and so you just smile when they whine and complain. Try to, anyways. Because deep inside there's something very wonderful, even when they're whining and complaining. And that's what you're embracing, and you're maybe dealing with. So you just stay the course because of faith, and continue to cleanse because it's we got a lot of thickness of obstacle in front of us.
So I mentioned that I was chanting extra rounds.
Good.
Can I continue or just focus on only 16 rounds because that is a struggle?
Well, you know the answer. If you can increase.
I can increase.
Okay.
Time is there, but the effort is so hard.
Well, it's your decision, but hearing scripture and hearing recorded classes and discussing with others, there's other valuable things as well. But if you can increase your chanting, then that's good. Do it in increments and make sure you're doing some other things that are also beneficial and give you life. But let's just say if those other things give you life and chanting is a struggle, that tells you something about your Krishna connection. It tells you something about your Krishna. I like kirtan, but I don't like japa. It tells something about what it is that you like about kirtan that's why you don't like about japa. It's not really the name, it's the music and the social and the whatever. That's okay. Not like shame on you. It's just like that's my condition. But it tells you something. So, if you want to strengthen your relationship with Krishna, do some of both, some of kirtan and some of japa. Because, and then I struggle more with japa, but that's good. It'll help you be more spiritualized from kirtan. Okay.
So many people people are, their focus is on getting up early morning, focus on more my struggle. I mean the same thing that I'm very, very, very like, been chanting for some years, but still my struggle is like not focusing on how to improve. Oh, I'm getting this. I'm not in that level. I'm just feeling very, very, very beginning basic level.
That's okay. I was thinking, because I'm here, you're probably getting up much earlier than you would otherwise. And you're probably, as a result, experiencing what it's like to chant early in the morning as opposed to later in the morning. The quality is altogether different. And after I leave, let's see how early you get up in the morning.
Because my nature is if I take commitment, I'm chanting every day because of the commitment that I have given to you. So maybe I'll take an instruction. I struggle with that.
Well, chanting, the early chanting is more energizing than the later chanting. So do early chanting. Okay, I think I should end. Do we have something more? No. Srila Prabhupada ki